All right. I want to greet you all this morning in the precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Grateful to be here with you again. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Our Father, we come before you this morning and we thank you for your goodness and for your mercy. We just ask your blessing, Father, on this time together. Lord, give us wisdom, Father, as we open your word. Fill us with your Spirit. Lord, help us to strive to be what you would want us to be. Help us to live our lives, Father, according to your will. Again, we thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's open our Bibles to Luke chapter 16. Verse 1 says, "Now he was also saying to the disciples, there was a rich man who had a manager. And this manager was reported to him as squandering his possessions. And he called him and said to him, 'What is this I hear about you? Give an accounting of your management, for you can no longer be a manager.' The manager said to himself, 'What shall I do? Because my master is taking the management away from me, I am not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do, so that when I am removed from the management, people will welcome me into their homes.' And he summoned each one of his master's debtors, and he began saying to the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said to him, 'Take your bill and set down quickly and write 50. Then he said to another, 'And how much do you owe?' And he said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, 'Take your bill and write 80. And his master praised the unrighteous manager because he acted shrewdly. For the sons of this age are more shrewd in their relation to their own kind than the sons of light. And I say to you, make friends for yourself by means of the wealth of unrighteousness, so that when it fails, they will receive you into eternal dwellings. He who is faithful in a very little thing is faithful also in much, and he who is unrighteous in a very little thing is unrighteous also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the use of unrighteous wealth, who will entrust the true riches unto you? And if you have not been faithful in the use of that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." Okay. We can see the result of what he's trying to talk about. We may not understand all of this, but the goal is being faithful in the little things that God has given us here. And that if we can't even take care of what we have here properly, then who will give us eternal things? And that's what this man, this unjust steward, his master praised him, that he was observing what was going on and able to really manage his own life in this instance to prepare for the future. And even though it was the master that was losing in this, he was still making preparations for what laid ahead. It says, And his master praised the unrighteous manager because he acted shrewdly. For the sons of this age are more shrewd in the relation to their own kind than the sons of light. The King James or the other translations talks about that they're more wise in this generation than the sons of light. And this one says that for the sons of this age are more shrewd in their relation to their own kind than the sons of light. And that's kind of what I want to talk about this morning. Being more shrewd in their relations than the people of this world. You know, the people of this world, this manager, for example, he was very wise in looking at the situation and making adjustments to make preparations. That's what he's talking about here. He saw, what can I do? I'm too old to dig, and I'm too ashamed to beg. I'm not ready to go stand on the corner and beg yet. But he was too old to dig. He said, well, so what will I do? And so he analyzed the situation that was in front of him, and even though it was shady, he still analyzed the situation and he acted upon it. And the manager even praised him for him being able to act so shrewdly. That's probably why he gained the management in the first place, because he was a shrewd man. He knew how to make these deals and make them work. And somehow he used it a little too much to his advantage to where he lost the job. But that's what the manager appreciated, or the owner appreciated in the man in the first place, that he was able to analyze a situation and put it into practice. Okay, how does that deal with us? Our responsibility is to analyze our lives and analyze the things and the situations that come our way and put them into practice. And he said that the generation of this world are wiser than Christians are. The Christians are the sons and children of the kingdom. You know, we just sometimes get religious and we do all these things that we're supposed to be doing, but we're not really aware of the people around us or the situations around us. We're oblivious to them. We're just doing our religious duty. We're not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to do that. And so we just do our little duty, but we're not really aware of the world around us. And that is where God has put us in this world, to be aware of what's and who are around us. But we're so out of sync sometimes because we're so religious that we just miss it all. And oftentimes there's people in the world that just run rings around us in being aware of other people, being aware of themselves being in the world. See, a lot of times we're so self-centered, we're so religious, and we're so self-centered that the world revolves around us instead of us just being a part of the world. We get it all goofed up. But that's what he's talking about this man that was shrewder than the children of light. Because he was concerned about the world around him and the world that was going on and the things that were going around instead of how the world was going around him. I've just noticed a lot of times, just observed people with professing to be Christians, that there's people right beside them sometimes that just run rings around them in kindness. Just general kindness among other people when you're out in the world. There's people that just run rings around Christians, supposedly. They're wiser in this world and in the things that are building towards eternity than we are. We get so involved in our own little thing that we just are oblivious to little needs and little things around us that are real. We get so caught up in the world that we're living in. Oftentimes, the world is less worldly than we are, or than the children of the kingdom. The world is less worldly than the children of the kingdom because we're so caught up in it. Thoughtful, just being thoughtful. You know, there's a lot of people that they're looking out for other people. And sometimes we just overlook it, miss things all around us. But the children of this world sometimes are wiser in that situation or more thoughtful in that situation than we are. I've just got a whole list of things. Patience. You know, sometimes you see people and things get turned upside down and they just coast right along. And then you see someone that is supposed to be a part of the children of the kingdom of light, and I mean their world just gets rocked whenever something goes wrong. Just being patient. Just in patience. Can you think of examples of someone that you just knew out in the world or out wherever and just saw patience? And you feel like they kind of put you to shame because you didn't have much. I'll probably touch on that again. Being helpful. Again, some of these I just wrote them down so they may cross back and forth with each other. But being helpful. Just looking out for little things that need to be done. Several of the boys, you know, they got their chores done and thought they were just through. But how many of them said they could have been better instead of just doing what they should have done, looking for what they could have done? Instead of just rushing through your chores, well, there's 2 or 3 things that are needed to be done, but that's not your chore. So you just rush on through and leave something undone. Just being helpful. Being glad to be helpful instead of, oh boy, I had to do this extra, I had to do that extra. Start whining and complaining and moaning because you did something extra. Well, I know a lot of people of the world that are just sinners. But man, they're just helpful all the time. Heroic. You know, sometimes we hear stories of people that just, with no thought of themselves, just rush in and do something because someone else is in trouble or in danger. I mean, some of these people are rough. Soldiers, maybe even. Just maybe really rough people. But man, if you're in trouble, they're there. Just rushing in because you're in trouble or because someone else is in trouble. And we're thinking, well, should I do that? Or, I don't know. Boy, that looks dangerous. And so we're all worried about ourselves. But the children of this world are wiser in some of these things. I mean, if someone's in trouble, just take no thought for yourself. Bail right in and help them. You'd sure want someone to bail right in and help you. There's people, I mean, it's just sometimes out of all the news that's usually bad, Every once in a while, they'll sprinkle in some kind of story about some heroic situation where someone just jumped in and did something that they didn't have to do, that they probably shouldn't have done if they wanted to be safe and secure and watch out for their own safety, but they just, without thought, acted and pulled somebody from somewhere or jumped in front of somebody just to help. A heroic situation. I love to hear stories of just someone being a hero. Just someone stepping up when no one else would. A whole crowd of people standing gawking, and some man just jumps up and does it, or a woman just jumps up and does what needs to be done. That's sometimes, like I said, the Christians standing there gawking, and then some old sinner jumps up and just does what needs done. The children of this world are wiser in making preparations for the next world. Faithfulness. Just being faithful. I mean, we see examples of people all the time. We hear examples of faithful people, loyal people in the world. Sometimes they just put us to shame, being faithful. Just doing things that they're doing just because it needs done, or just because someone needs you. Just being there, being faithful. I don't know how many times people have said, why do you do this or why do you do that? Just don't even have a clue of faithfulness or responsibility to other people. We're not an island. We are responsible for each other. Sometimes you got to step in places and be there for other people. We see examples in the world of that, but they're just sinners. But sometimes they're more wise and more faithful than we are. Forgiving. I mean, there's all kinds of accounts of people who are forgiving. Just releasing things. Releasing people of their responsibility. I mean, we know there's bad ones. We know there's people that won't forgive for anything. But there's people in the world who's forgiven big things. And we struggle sometimes with little things. Tolerant. Being tolerant of other people. Being tolerant of each other. You know, there's a big movement that talks about tolerance, and they're full of baloney. They don't have any tolerance. But there are people that are very tolerant of other people. And sometimes they just put us to shame. Put the children of this world, put the children of the kingdom to shame, just in their tolerance. Just in seeking for truth, seeking for wisdom. You know, I've talked to people that just have a desire for truth, and their reasoning and their search for truth is just amazing sometimes. They might not want it when they see it, but they have a way of looking about it, looking for it, that is exceptional in their search for wisdom. Some people look for what's wrong to find what's right. You'll never find it in just searching for what's wrong. You'll never find truth. I mentioned a while ago the news, you know, sometimes they just show all the bad, or you hear about it and it's just all bad. Well, whenever we're looking at each other and looking at other people, if we're looking for dirt, you won't find truth in dirt. You won't find the truth looking for dirt in someone else. That's not where it's at. And we see so many people that are able to see past some of the rough edges and just see some good in someone. Just the patience again. I come back with, Jesus said, take no thought for tomorrow. You know, I know people and see people that just live simple and plain. They don't profess anything, or we wouldn't accept what they profess. But they're not all stressed out all the time. They're not all uptight. They're just calm. Whatever life throws at them, they just roll with it. They just go along with it. I talked to someone this week about just rolling with situations. I mean, how foolish is it to fight a wave coming at you instead of just rolling with it? I mean, life has ups and downs. There's times, you know, they talk about farmers. There's to make hay when the sun's shining. Well, make hay when the sun's shining. But the problem is we get so all stressed out because we can't make hay today because the sun's not shining, that we aren't prepared for making hay when the sun is shining. Because we're so stressed out, we're so worried about things not going together right now. You quit trying to force life. Live through it. Live in it. There's times to push forward. There's times to hold your ground. There's times just to roll with things. And if we're always trying to fight what's coming our way, we're going to be stressed out all the time. Take life as it comes. And we see people that are just able to whistle through life because they're in tune with whatever comes their way is fine. Because there's ups and there's downs with life. We need to accept what's there. Stress is just something that it's not good for us. We can't make right decisions. We can't be very pleasant people when we're all stressed out. And yet you see people in the world that are wiser than the children of the kingdom, knowing that they're just in tune with the ways this world operates. How much more should we be knowing that we know who operates this world? Just sincerity kind of goes with the faithfulness a while ago. People are sincere. I mean, there are people that are sincerely wrong, but they are sincere. They're real in what they believe. Even though it's wrong, they're dedicated to it. They're genuine. Going back to not so self-important. You know, I've heard stories of people. There was a man in India one time that someone had donated a bunch of stuff to him, and they got to he was going to have to pay taxes on it before he could get it into the country. And he just got so upset. And he just started saying, I'm a Christian, I'm a preacher. Why are you He didn't want to pay taxes like everybody else did, and so he started throwing around that he was a Christian. Well, what do you think that looks like to the children of this world? He thought the world revolved around him. And we think that, oh, that's absurd how he could do that. But How often do we wind up falling into the same things? Now, I've seen people that, there's something wrong with their bill. And people of the world, they kindly just mention it and show it. And then if it still goes the wrong way, they just, well, all right. And they go right on. And then I've seen and heard of supposed children of the kingdom just throwing a fit because their bill was $2 too much, because someone made a mistake in ringing up their ticket at Walmart or at the hardware store or someplace. What do you think that looks like? We can yell, I'm a Christian. But they ought to be able to spot us whenever something like that happens, instead of us having to tell them. Because if we're having to tell them, we're probably way out of line in the first place, and it'd probably be better off we didn't tell them. We'd probably better off starting to swear and say, buy me a beer here. At least you wouldn't be associating so much with, you'd be associating with what it looks like instead of what we profess that it's supposed to be. How do we take having to stand in a line? How do we take delays? And one time at an airport, we'd been delayed, and people were mad and throwing a fit. And a guy came up to me, and he got mad at me because I wasn't mad. But how often the children of this world are the one up at the desk complaining all the time, demanding. And then there's some little old simple person back there somewhere just sitting there patiently waiting. Wonder which one's ahead of the kingdom. Wiser in this world. See, the wiser in this world, going through this world, because our world is a different place. Looking at this world, the situations in it, because this isn't where our treasure is. This isn't the world we're trying to preserve ourselves for because we can't dig and can't beg. Gratefulness. Often mentioned today about the opposite of complaining and being all stressed out, just gratefulness. We took a little trip with Joanne's parents. Her husband's man went with us. We just went to a little place down in Arkansas, just a little old house that someone had built, and kind of a little museum kind of thing, just a simple little house that she'd built it herself, with just putting all kinds of different rocks and shells, and just wanted a part of it with dirt in it so she could grow plants in the house, and just designed it with the windows so it would work that way. Just a simple little deal. Most of us would have probably been bored to tears there. But he just thought it was the best day of his life to go out and do something like that. Because his life just consists of just living in a little old basement and going to work every day, and just a dark, dreadful life in a city. And he was so grateful for that simple little thing.
Chance of a lifetime is what he called it.
A chance of a lifetime, he said. How does that line up with the kingdom of the children and the kingdom of this world? Look at the whole situation. children of this world are wiser, are more shrewd in the situation than the children of the kingdom. It doesn't have to be that way. We can take the time to analyze the world around us and act like we're living for the preparation for when we're put out of this world. May the Lord add his blessings. Anyone have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, really blessed with the encouragement and admonition. Thought recently about that virtue, kindness, or like the New American Standard says, moral excellence, and your faith, moral excellence. I was telling the children how I think it was in 5th grade or something. 4th or 5th grade in school, and one of the boys batted a ball and it hit the teacher square in the forehead, and she just sank down to the ground and broke her glasses, and she just had her head in her hands a little bit, and we all were subdued, and some of the students maybe just kind of vertically got up close to her and asked if she was okay. Then she was able to get up and she walked to the schoolhouse and just said, "Keep on playing." Till the end of recess. And so we started to play again, but one girl took off to the schoolhouse after her to see how she was.
Yeah.
And I just told the children, that's moral excellence. And we grumbled under our breaths at other times how she was kind of the teacher's pet. One.
Right.
Just encouraging to me that memory.
Amen. All right. Anyone else?
I was talking to Brianna about that visit down there in Green Springs, because I was thinking the same thing about Grandpa Ron. I just couldn't believe how. Well, I understand why he appreciated it so much, but to me, doing stuff like that's about having knowing, just
Yeah.
to have to go around sightseeing and stuff. But to see somebody who comes from a situation where they can it's just like the neatest thing in the world to them. It's just kind of puts things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What I said was, it's like, I've been all over the world and I've seen so many different things that there's nothing new or exciting anymore. And I just been so privileged with everything I've had, things and experiences I've been able to do, that now to see somebody else that just something like that just is the neatest thing in the world to them. It just what it made me think of is what Jesus said about blessed are the poor. How it's the little things really are a blessing to them.
Mm-hmm. Amen. All right, go ahead.
We were just talking about that and thinking about it yesterday, so
I've been pretty impressed with, I've been working here at the Methodist Church. I put in a door for them on their own building, and a door for the Boy Scout little thing, their little building for Boy Scouts there, that they sponsor the Boy Scouts for Monette. And they are very, very active in the community. And I've known that about United Methodist for years, grew up that way, but they're always doing something. They have a day of the week they feed the community people, and then another day that people of the community come and get food, and they get food big deal. I mean, they got two huge coolers, and there's a lot of work involved. These people, it's not just, oh, they'll show up if they want to. Those people are counted on, and then there's other people in the community that come there and take Meals on Wheels to people. They're all behind this. And I can't help but say, that's good. Those are good things, you know? And there I was working, they bring in food, they had couples, had to weigh it all, take a temperature on it all, write all that down. This is every week this happens, you know, and just loads and loads of stuff, and then give it out. And there's people that don't appreciate that, they just think they owe it to them and everything else, they still do that. I mean, that's good. And the scoutmaster that I was with yesterday, he's a Catholic, and he said, these people way outdo what we do as far as doing things.
Yeah.
And that was just interesting.
Amen.